So,
Carson, you wanted to say something.
No.
I ask you the most sensational question I can think of. What's the most sensational question you can think to ask me?
Geez, I don't know. You're such a sensational. You're such a sensational guy.
Your chest is a sensation, all right?
You've already answered it in 1,000 ways.
Good.
Here I am, a sensation.
Yeah, it's not. In your case, you don't tell. You show.
Yeah. Well, I have to. I mean, sometimes it's not enough to write it. You've got to... I've always thought that my best performance would be if the audience had copies of my writing to follow along with while I was up there performing, because then they could see the words and see how I was presenting them, and they'd get all the effect completely.
Yeah, it's a follow the bouncing ball thing. That's
yeah.
what it is.
You know, and there's a sense you get up in front of an audience that you don't get anywhere else. And especially being an underground poet, I mean, one of the worst things that's happening in poetry is the academic poetry. You know, where they stand up there behind their podium and they read their little works of poems, and they're all very disciplined and all very correct, and you lose something doing that. You can't put the raw energy into it if you have to put it in chains.
Yeah.
Okay, as I was saying before the battery died, I think the academics look down on the underground poets for the flip side of the coin, which is they feel that we lack the discipline in our writing that is necessary. And it's just I see academics as domestic poets, and I see the underground as the wild poets. And I think something is much more beautiful in the wild than it ever is domesticated.
But you see, the academic poets have been going on for years and years and years and years, and the disciplines that they're talking about are the same things that have crushed poetry.
Mm-hmm.
It's the reason that there is very little poetry in the world anymore. And with you and with poets like yourself, who are now cult poets or underground poets, you are the future of poetry. Whether the academics want to face it or not, they're driftwood.
Mm-hmm.
They are simply driftwood. They just haven't been burned up yet or gone to sleep yet. But they're dead. They're dead. Poetry has nowhere to go except with what you're doing.
Unfortunately, they're the ones who can get published.
Well, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter that they get published. It doesn't matter. You're a pioneer, you know. It's like saying, well, when we came across into this country, you know, there was no motels. That's true. There was no hotels and motels, and it was kind of rough going. But you're blazing trails. You know, you're blazing trails. It's just like what G.G. Allen was blazing trails. I mean, as difficult it is. I mean, even for myself, I take him in, but for even myself, you have to, you know, draw. I mean, you don't have to draw any lines. There are no lines to draw. There are no lines to draw. Fuck it. You just move. You go. You move.
It's like John Waters' work.
What?
It's like John Waters' work.
John Waters' work was the same thing. He just moved. He goes. He had a vision. He pursued it. He was driven. He wasn't afraid. You, as a poet, are not afraid.
No, and I'm never going to stop writing because I'm not accepted by the academia. You know, I mean, if anything else, it gives me more passion to write because, you know, fuck them.
You know, they're dead.
Yeah.
They're dead. They're all lying in this big graveyard,
waiting to be covered up.
Yes, they haven't simply shut up yet.
Yeah.
You know, they're still sticking their hands and arms out of the graves. But however, they're all dead.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you and a lot of other people, and it's like where electronics are. It's like where the internet is. It's the wave of the future.
Right.
It's a publishing world of the future. It's an infant right now. I mean, everything is an infant. This tree was an infant at one time. But it's an infancy. And, you know, whether it's good, bad, or indifferent, doesn't make any difference because you are doing it now. It doesn't matter whether we, you know, later say, well, you know, the Outsider was an infant. Well, that's true. That's fine.
Sure.
And so are the internet publishers right now. They're all infants. They don't even basically know exactly what they're doing. But that is the wave of the future. And you are out there, you know, on your surfboard on the crest of this wave that is moving into the future.
Yeah. Yeah, it's really exciting in that way.